Well, welcome to the Bold Vision podcast, where we spotlight forward thinking leaders in the construction industry. We focus on helping contractors and builders grow their revenue, expand visibility, and scale confidently. Be sure to leave a comment below and follow us on Spotify and YouTube. I'm your host, Sonya Sanchez, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Chuck Worley. He's the owner of Worley Home Services in York County, Virginia, and Chuck is the driving force behind Worley's Home Service. It's an HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and insulation company. So, Chuck, we're just gonna, welcome you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I've heard through the grapevine that you have a wonderful story to tell. So let's dive right into it. Welcome.
That is great. Yes. George, he is in my C12 group, which is a Christian CEO group, and he's a fantastic guy up there in Richmond. So he actually comes down to Yorktown once a month or Newport News once a month, and we have a meeting together. Yeah, I was pretty flattered that you called me. And I do have a kind of a crazy up and down story. I think what I said earlier is everybody's got a plan. As Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan till I punch them in the mouth. I have swallowed a few teeth in my fighting career.
Right.
Of contracting. Some of us know it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak.
Absolutely not. You have to be, well, first of all, you have to be a very brave individual just to, start a business of your own, period. Because in my opinion, some days it seems like it would be a whole lot easier just to go to a job and collect a paycheck, right? I mean, that's the easy way out.
Even now, I mean, it's in the trades. I mean, there's guys out here in the trades as plumbers and heating and air guys. I mean, they're making, $80,000 to $100,000 a year. I mean, this is like, so to go and open up your own business is insane. Like you can make so much money just working and going home at 5:00. And no stress, no employees, no payroll, no negative stuff, no taxes, no, except once a year when you, tax person for 5 minutes, So yeah, it is difficult, but I guess the point of your kind of podcast is kind of just telling stories of
telling stories. I mean, stories sell. People enjoy, hearing other people's stories. It gives inspiration to the younger generation. We don't know who might come across this podcast. Maybe you're gonna, we're gonna touch on something that another business owner is gonna listen to, and they're gonna be like, wow, they've had that struggle or that challenge and they weren't really sure how they were going to fix it or resolve it. So we're going to talk about a lot of things, but let's just start from the very beginning. I know that you took over Rick's HVAC and
so let me go back. Yeah, let me go back even further than that. If we want to kind of, my goal in life is to give people hope. Right? Because if this dumb redneck from Yorktown, Virginia can be successful in business, I want to give anybody out there listening to this podcast, I promise you are smarter than me, right? I promise you are. But what I will promise you is when I walk into a room with 1,000 people, not one sucker in that room can outgrind me. There's just nobody that can outwork me. And that is the secret to success. All these kids, I go to high schools, local high schools, and talk to them about, look, there's only one valedictorian. That don't mean there's one successful person in this class. I mean, if you compare me to the Vala and Valedictorians, I can't even spell those syllables, right? So I am doing pretty well compared to some of them, so you could be successful and not be the top guy in the class. You could be successful if all you got is grind, all you got is work. You can make money in this industry. The trades are where it's at. You don't necessarily have to open up your own company. Like I said, there's guys 75, 100 grand a year that you can make in the trades now. This
Easily.
is a great business to get into. And if you're not afraid of work, right? So, because it's hot as hell in these attics.
Right. And I mean, and what these kids need to know, I just want to, jump in here real quick about the younger generation. Why go to college and have a 6-figure debt, and then when you get out of college, you're barely going to be making 50, 60,000 when you could go to vocational school or some internship or apprenticeship and be making 6 figures after your first year, and you're going to make that for the rest of your life.
Well, all right, so let's start at the beginning. So, like I said, my biggest hope is that I impact somebody's life that seeing my stories gives them hope, and That's one of my biggest dreams. And so let me go from the start. I will tell you, I was raised by a Navy chief and my mother, who she has passed away a couple years ago. She, pastor's wife, and a unconditional love from a mother who believed in her son, even though he was dumb as a brick. So I started out, I was in 6 schools by 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
Dad was a Navy chief. And so South Carolina, I was born in California, was there a couple years, and down to South Carolina, then Rhode Island, where my sisters were born. I mean, 6 schools in 6 years. By 3rd grade, I actually found out that I was dyslexic and had to go to a special school for a year to get over dyslexia. And so I couldn't read. So in 3rd grade, I failed 3rd grade, had to take a special school, then went to 4th, 6th. Then I got here in 6th grade. I failed 6th grade. And thank God my mom, I learned sales from her. She sold that nun in 6th grade that said, I will work with him every single day. She worked 2nd shift so she could be home, 3rd shift, which is 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So she could be home with us kids, 3 kids, so that she could help me with my school and to get me to 7th grade, because they were not going to let me go to 7th grade. She's like, look, my son's going to be 22 by the time he graduates from high school if he keeps failing. So you got to let him go through. He's already 1 behind. He's already 13 and 6. I'm just kidding. But
so you finally graduated high school, right?
I did. So actually barely graduated from high school, failed my senior year of English. By the grace of God, the only reason that I graduated from high school, and this is quote unquote from English teacher, I am not dealing with your ass next year. So he curved the final grade like 10 points so I could graduate. Right?
Get the hell out of there.
I get the hell out of there
anymore.
So I did graduate. The only thing I really was successful. I was a state champ in high school in wrestling and track, and ran cross country and top tennis cross country state. So I was really good at putting work. I mean, you don't wrestle if you don't like work. So I love hiring wrestlers because I know they're not afraid of hot rooms and working, right? So I go to Norfolk State for 2 years because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. So I'm go to Norfolk State, which is a HBU here in Norfolk. Actually, Mike Vick just took over as the head coach there.
Okay.
It's been really great for them, but I failed out after 2 years there and ended up getting recruited to go to the apprentice school at Newport News Shipyard. Everybody's heard of Newport News Shipyard. It's the only shipyard that builds ships. I'm very proud of the apprentice school. I graduated barely graduated. I think my GPA, I pulled it up from, I had to mail it to me as 1.1 GPA. Like, I barely graduated, but I will tell you, I'm probably the lowest GPA graduate ever, but I did graduate. So one of my sayings is, what is the title of the guy that graduates from Harvard? What do they call him in the doctor thing? They call him doctor. All right.
Okay.
When he graduates with a doctor degree from Harvard, his title with the lowest GPA in the class, his title is still doctor. Right.
Correct.
So I'm still a graduate from the Newport News Shipyard Apprentice School, which is, I will tell you this, there's things in life that change your life. The Newport News Shipyard Apprentice School changed my life. It got me in the trades, and I didn't even know what the heck a heat pump was.
Got it.
I didn't know. So anyway, they trained me, give me my apprenticeship. I graduate 93. I was raised by a Navy chief, character, integrity, and doing the right thing. So I leave the shipyard because that was just moving on to the next thing. They put me on 2nd shift, which means I'd miss every sporting event for all children. And I said I couldn't do it. So I moved on, went to work for a couple residential heating and air conditioning companies doing service, air conditioning of systems. What happened was I couldn't find character, integrity, and doing the right thing because I just couldn't find it in my industry. So it was very frustrating situation. So I said, basically, I did get into sales. So I left service and went into sales. In 1997, I was like the 5th guy to ever sell $1 million in HVAC equipment. But now they're selling 2 and 3 million. But of course, the prices are a lot higher now. But so I found my niche. Because I had the experience of being in the field and the sales combination, I was just very sought after. I mean, I got monthly from companies and the problem was I was selling more than most companies do in a year. So I had to go with bigger companies. And the problem is, being raised by that chief, character, integrity, doing the right thing. The industry standard was not there. They got the drug team, they got the B team, the 8C team. There was no A teams, right? I'm like, I can't do this. So in 2001, I opened up my own company. I literally had no customers. I had no idea what I was doing.
Now, what kind of company? What was that? Heating and air. Okay, so that's been your niche all along. Okay,
all along.
That's your start.
So I opened up a company, and in 2001 had 0 customers. I started banging on doors, next door neighbors. Hey, I got a new company. I bought a van. That was it. I had no idea. I even think back now, like, what the hell were you thinking? I'm making in sales. I was making in 1997. My best year in sales was over $1 million, and I made $125,000 in 1997 just doing sales, right? Wow. So I'm like, I go to that to $12,000 a year in my own business. It's like,
you're like, what were you thinking, right? Like, what the hell?
No idea.
What the hell's wrong with me?
I made it. And so I just kept building the business and built it up to a couple $1 million in business. I will give my ex-wife credit where she did lead me to Christ, changed my life again. 2 perfect children, changed my life again. And then when she turned 50, she decided to be single. So kind of wrecked my world. Life was spinning out of control. It was awful. It was awful. I would not wish that on anybody. So long story short, I sell my $2 million business to a friend of mine for $1.
During the divorce.
So gotcha, 2013, 14, 15. It took like 4 years to get divorced, which is a whole nother story. I won't get into that. It was a nightmare. So anyway, I sell my company because I'm just broken. I'm not doing what I was normally doing in sales. I was just broken, man. And heartbroken. And then business-wise was suffering because I was just not in the business. I just said, forget it. I'm done. And I sold the $2 million business, handed a guy $150,000 worth of assets. I said, use these assets to pay off the $500,000 of debt, service debt. And he didn't. For financial reasons, he couldn't afford to do what he promised. So what happens? Who gets the debt?
Back.
I take all the debt. But guess what I couldn't take? I couldn't take the phone number back.
The phone number. Yeah, because
so the business stayed with him. I got to keep all the debt. So in 12 months, I went from an 803 Beacon score to 450.
I can imagine.
I mean, I didn't even know what a judgment was when I was 47. I know now.
Well,
so I filed, ended up divorced, bankrupt, Chapter 7. I say it's not the cute bankruptcy.
No, so now you got to start all over again.
7. I'm at 0. Like I'm scrapping metal in 2015. Like I don't know what. I mean, I'm living on $100 a week to eat. Like it is horrible. So in 2016, I'm working for a couple of people. My joke is why I left that company was I'm too pretty to go to prison. And he was going to go to the hospital. I was going to go to prison. I needed to get away because I was selling for him for that company. So that obviously didn't work out. And I just walked away from the company.
Right. You got to get out of that toxic situation.
100%. 100%. So anyway, I'm a Scorndex husband, Scorndex business owner. And in 2016, I'm struggling. My son is a sophomore at CNU, Christopher Newport University. Wahoo, go Captains.
That's Chase, right?
He's
the vice president of your company now. I did my research.
He is my COO. He basically said, Dad, why don't you open your own company again? We could do it together and let's do it together. Like, let's open a company.
There you go.
And I'm like, payroll, employees. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. He said, look, go sell, go get me business. I'll do everything else.
Okay.
Now, some people on this podcast don't know, my son is my best friend.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
When I was broken, he still believed in me.
Isn't it wonderful to have somebody that really believes in you? I mean, everybody needs someone like that in their life.
I don't know why it still chokes me up when I think back. Like this broken, divorced, bankrupt. Like I'm living it. I mean, I'm living in an RV. You know,
I'm living in the trenches too.
20-year-old RV that barely ran. I mean, it was horrible. But he believed in me. He's like, man, we can do it together. And being my best friend, I'm like, you know what? He was not going to let him down. So I go and we buy a $300,000 revenue company that's 10 years old. And within 12 months, we're at $1.1 million.
That's amazing.
12 months, right? So then we take that $1 million company And within 8 years, this year, we'll do $17 million in business this year. And so when I say God has totally restored me in business, it is, he also restored me personally, and I'll tell you about that too. But when people say I don't see, or if people ever tell me or say something that they don't see God in my story, they're just blind. All through this time, we have been tithing 10% of our net profits since the beginning, all the way back to 2001 when I had my other company. I've always tithed. I believe it is a powerful thing to tithe personally. I also believe it's to tithe in your business. And that's on your net profit, not your your big profit. Right, but I think it's important is to know where your power is. And I knew it wasn't me. Losing your family, losing your business, which is your baby. I mean, it's your heart and soul.
It's a loss.
Right?
It's like a death.
It is unbelievable, the pain and suffering that one person can go through. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on anybody in my life that would have to go through the story I get to. I pray that somebody listening to this, their story's not as bad, so they can believe that, hey, man, if he can go through all that and then be on top of a $17 million company in 8 years, right, I'm telling you, and this is all local. This is 757, baby. This is Virginia Beach to New Kent, not Richmond, but this is the 757 area code, and we run it. I will tell you, in the last 2 years since I've come out of sales, obviously we got the sales force now, and we've got, service techs, and we got almost 100 people, right? 90 some people. So I have gone into where I started doing branding and marketing. Right. And let me stand up for it.
That's on my agenda about your bold personal brand, bright colors, the radio, the 757 House Whisperer, live shows. Yeah. All of this stuff, you're very bold. So let's talk about the marketing aspect. I know your son's helping you, but let's talk about how you got how did you really get from 0 to 17 million? What are the key core values, the key elements that really drove you from 0 to 17 million in 8 years? If you could pick 3 main things, what would it be?
I will tell you, the 10 commandments of an employee, our core values is character, integrity, and doing the right thing. Okay. You're not going to make it here if you're a scumbag. You're just not. I need good people. A great business creates a great church. Think about a great church. A great church. Great people make a great church. Bad people crush a church, right? Same thing in business. If you don't have great people, you're not going to have a great business. You could say you got a great business, but if you have people, I tell people all the time to come to work for my company, I want to be a great reflection of you. I want you to be a great reflection of me. Don't come here and cut corners because you're not going to make it here. I won't have to fire you. The guys around you will. Right. They're going to be like, I'm not working with that guy. Yep. I'm not, that's not what we do here. Or if you want to do that, go somewhere else. So we have the 10 commandments of an employee. All right. So it's kind of, what's the term? It's team member, right? So 10 commandments of a team member. You have to have them, right? You're not going to make it. And the core values, which is character, integrity, and doing the right thing, which is just from the beginning, you're going to be hearing about that. And then your vision and mission statement. Part of our vision statement is to honor and glorify God with the work done by our hands. To make sure that our community sees that we are supporting our communities through our tithing communities. And it doesn't have to be a Christian thing that we do. We use charities. I have a farm party every year, my 5-acre farm that I've got. I got a little 1,500 square foot farmhouse, and I invite 300-400 people over customer appreciation day, basically. But we're giving back to the food bank. I said, look, I'm paying for all the beer, all the food, all you got to do is bring canned goods.
Or you just show up. Yeah,
just show up and bring canned goods. And we, last year, in 4 hours, we came up 1,405 pounds of canned goods and foods in 4 hours. We take all the food to the food bank the next day or Monday. And the lady's like, man, how long y'all been collecting for? We said, well, we had a party Friday, 4 hours. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, look, when you surround yourself with good people, my employees are great people. And, our customers are great people. Great people do great things together, right?
Yes,
so when I'm telling them, coming in together, matching, I just, I even joked them. I said, don't be bringing one can. I got I mean, this is $100, dinner thing that I'm putting. We got oysters, Brunswick stew, beer. I got a beer truck. It's like you don't have to pay for any of that. I'm paying for that, and then you are supporting the food bank.
But at least bring a bag of canned goods. I mean, what's a canned good? $1 a can, 10, 20 bucks.
But taking care of your employees is big to us. Top Golf and spending time with them. Once a quarter, we try and do a function once a quarter with our employees. We have a company breakfast once a month, except during the summer because it's just insane. So 9 months out of the year, we got a company breakfast. So everybody can see everybody else. We get to introduce. Every month, we're introducing new employees that we're bringing on. Because like I said, we've gone from 3 employees to almost 100 employees in 8-9 years. So I want everybody to meet everybody else. I want the team to know the team, and it's really, really, really important that you surround yourself with great people. And my son is in 100% ops. He runs the show. Like it is fantastic, which has freed me up to be able to do marketing, do branding.
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about your marketing and your branding. So besides just networking and community and all of those things, I mean, what are the real things that, you're doing? I mean, I'm sure your trucks are everywhere. They're branded. I mean, do you have a marketing operations manager on your team? Is that person
I have
managing everything for you?
I have an assistant that helps me kind of stay on target, and she does a great job. Marilyn does a great job helping me, trying to keep my schedule and trying to keep, because there's days I'm at 5-6 events. Like I am not under houses anymore. I am creating revenue. I am trying to get business in. So I've got a lot of mouths to feed, right? So I got to get in front of people. So you saw my crazy outfit. Some people are like, man, I'm not doing that. You don't have to. Wear a logoed shirt. Right? It's, I wear these colors. So when I walk into a room, I want to be in front of 100 people a day. So networking, chamber events, any type, BNIs, any networking event, I'm going to be out there trying to get in front of 100 people. Now, remember, I'm trying to feed 100 people, right? So I've got to be in front of people to remind them about my crazy outfit, but also to remind them of my Vans, because my Vans on my feet, my shoes, my Converse, my Chuck Taylors match my Vans. So it's a reminder. It's a top of mind thing. So I leave an event. Somebody leaves an event. Their AC's out. They're like, oh man, who's that guy with the crazy shoes or the nice,
they just remember you. Yeah, you make something memorable by being bold and having that brand. They might not remember your name, but they're going to remember you.
I got an orange jacket. I normally wear an orange jacket, but I told you it's 97. You're not getting that today. It is way too warm.
So let's just talk. I don't mean to get off subject here, but I really want to give value to some people that are maybe listening. So, what is there anything that you would have changed in this last 8 years? I mean, things that you know now that you didn't know then, that maybe you would have done differently in the early stages of starting this business?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, the very early stages, I would say make sure you have 6 months in the bank of expenses for your home, right? Make sure I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan, which is what helped me. I didn't even tell you the coolest part about my bankruptcy was I went back and paid back $500,000 of debt that I didn't owe legally, but I did owe character, integrity, doing the right thing. You had asked me earlier about why are we growing so much or how are we growing so much? We have done 20 acquisitions of very small contracting business in the last 8-9 years, all $500,000 and below, except for 2 that were above that. But they're all small companies that know my name, that know I paid everybody back, that knows I'm not a scumbag contractor. They know I'm a character and integrity guy. They know I paid everybody back, which I didn't have to. It was a chapter. It wasn't one of those cute, I call them cute bankruptcies. It was a chapter 7. I don't owe anybody anything. But I felt like my name was more important than that. So going back, and I feel like that's why these people are trusting me with these acquisitions. I'm not going out of the area. 757 is my zone. I am a legacy business. My son's 30 and already runs the ops, so runs the show really. And so I feel like that's why these companies trusted me and came and trusted me with their companies, is because people know you, whether you think they know you or not.
Right.
They're going to know you. Some of the other things that were successful to helping us grow, I opened up the 757 House Whisperer radio show that I do every Wednesday night from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in order to kind of get the expenses down on that, I brought on other contractors. So I have a pest control contractor. I have I'm, of course, the heating and air, electrical and plumbing guy, and crawl space and capsule guy. But we have a remodeler in the group. We have a window guy in the group. And we're working on another roofing and maybe siding guy. Just something that it's a group called the 757 House Whisperer. And everybody remembers dog whisperers and horse whisperers. Right. Thought it was a cool concept of bringing in a team of character integrity driven contractors, that can answer questions, a public service announcement. We don't necessarily have to we want to make money, obviously, doing this show, but we're doing it to give back to the customers that gave us so much. So by serving the customer and answering questions, I've been helping people one-on-one for the last 25 years, helping them with problems in their house. Oh man, you got a problem here. You got a problem here. This is the solution for that, right? But when someone calls in and asks that question, I literally help thousands of other listeners with the same problem that didn't call in. So it's kind of a giving back to the people that have done so much for me in my area, in my zip codes and my area codes. I think it's a great way to give back to your people. And people will respond. They will like, man, this guy on the radio helped me. You need to call that guy, And I'll have DY that want to fix their own stuff, but they don't want to fix their neighbor's stuff. So they're like, hey, look, this guy Chuck's the one that told me how to fix my heat pump or replace my thermostat. But I ain't going in your attic. You need ductwork, man. Call Chuck. So it's kind of you're giving back, but people are gonna,
Right. So this is a live radio show. It's every
live
Wednesday.
Radio show.
At what time?
6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's on 790 a.m. And I do put it on Spotify. You can look up 757 House Whisperer or just go to chuckworley.com and you'll find all the events that I'm doing, all the podcasts I'm doing, all the radio shows I'm doing. I'm doing some keynote speakers. I am looking for some opportunities at keynotes, because some people like the comeback story, and I think it does help people, and it's really cool. It's been a lot of fun. I'm actually done some speaking at National Heating and Air Conditioning Conventions, NCI, National Comfort Institute. I did Comfort Tech back in the early 2000s. So I've been speaking for years and years, and it's a lot of fun. And I love giving back to my industry. When God calls my number up, I want to know that I have spent money or spent time in my industry and given back to the industry that changed my life and made it better.
Well, it sounds like you're doing everything right, but I just wanted to know, what are the toughest pain points that you have faced scaling, maybe team training? Surely there is some competitors, in your area, but you're managing these diverse services that you do. So what has been maybe the biggest challenge in, being able to try to dominate? I mean, what was something that was a challenge for you to overcome?
We interview probably 10 people to get one, maybe 15 people. It's a big number. We don't drop our standards. I'm going to say that again. We do not drop our standards no matter how busy we are. I want you to listen to that again. You cannot drop your standards because you're busy. And it's the hardest thing. It's going to cost you money not to bring on. I could, with two hands, we need at least 5 to 10 people easily, right?
Yes.
I could hire 10 to 15, 20 people just off the top of my head today that do not fit my standards.
Right, but they're just bodies. They're actually going to hinder you. They're more of a liability than an asset. I mean, honestly.
But in the short term, they could make us money. They could, it's 100,000 degrees outside right now. We could so make money having those people on staff. Now, would they screw up my culture? Would they be like, Chuck, I thought you said this was important to you. You have to be who you are. You can't drop your standards for anybody. And I would say that's the hardest thing about building the type of business that we are building is holding the line.
Right, because sometimes you choosing between the money, we could make a lot of money versus, but that's going to, maybe impact our standards, our integrity, our reputation.
Well, then people don't believe you. They don't believe you. I was in a meeting this morning at the Peninsula Chamber of Commerce, and we were talking about the same thing. Willie Donaldson, Dr. Willie Donaldson's at CNU. He's one of the deans over there in the business school, and he was talking about vision, mission. You have to believe it. And I'm like, I used the example when I sold my company, the guy loved my vision, loved my mission, so he just dropped his and brought mine on. And the problem was I wasn't the guy anymore leading the charge. So he didn't believe what I believed, like the 10 Commandments and he had all those, but they weren't real because they weren't in his heart. Right. And my son was raised with all that. He knows all that. So now it's in our managers. Now it's, our standards on our managers. Heck, sometimes I think they're harder on the standards than I am, and I'm pretty daggone strict on them, right? So it's really important to have that great culture within your especially your team members, your executive people. We have, I think, 7 or 8 now managers in our managers meeting every.
Okay. Yeah, well, I love the story. I mean, I really like your passion. I can see that, you do have a lot of integrity and you're a Christian man and that's great. Keeping religion out of it. I mean, even for people that aren't religious, you just still have to have
100%.
drive. You have to
I
have
would say
drive and you
I
have to
agree.
have a sense of right and wrong. You just have to, you want to be able to do the right things even when nobody's watching. That's the
So
key.
let's go back to the core values: character, integrity, and do the right thing. It doesn't say love Jesus. It doesn't say go to the same church I do. It doesn't say the type of religion I am. That doesn't matter. Right. I've had a Muslim work for me, and I've also had I have an atheist that works for me.
Okay.
Now, you see my vision, see my mission. I got God, Jesus, Christ all over everything. People know who I am, right?
Right.
And I have an atheist who works for me. How is that possible? Because it's character, integrity, doing the right thing. He's one of the most character, integrity guys I've ever met in my 56 years of life. Just because he doesn't believe the same thing I do on Sundays does not mean that he's not a great man. He is.
No,
He's
absolutely not. I agree. And we're
so,
all human.
yeah, I think that's a great point. I think
we are all human. If we get cut, we're going to bleed the same. We all have emotions. Really, none of that should matter. It really should just be, hard work, ethics, doing the right thing. So it is hard to find those people. And when you do, you need to be able to reward them and, let them know that you appreciate them. So like you said, you have your breakfasts or your lunches and, you give back to your workers. You show them how much you appreciate them, which a lot of companies, they lose sight of that. They get the shiny objects, the money. They kind of forget about all the people that are making them that money, and then are you going back and thanking the customers? Are you making sure that you're nurturing those relationships after you did the work? Because really, that's the most important time because they're the ones that are going to give you a referral. You need them to go on Google, give you a 5-star review. You need to be able to nurture those relationships even after, you got to warranty your work. If they have a problem that you fixed and now it's 3 months later, but it's the same thing. Maybe you did overlook the root problem. So you're going to go back and say, you know what? Maybe we didn't check something like we should have. We thought it was X, Y, and Z, but maybe it's B and C. Let me send somebody out and let's, fix that for you. So
I'm gonna reiterate exactly what you're saying. I implemented in 2001 what I call the happy check. And what that is after every single installation. Now back then I was the only one selling, right? But after that, I'd sell the job after the job was installed, whether it got paid for or not, 50% down, whatever. It wasn't for money. My reason for going back was to make sure that you were happy. It was a happy check. So after every single install, all the way back to my first company in 2001, to my second company, Worley's in 2016, 17, we started. So I went back all the way up to about $5 million in revenue. I was on every single installation that we did, up to $5 million, plus my real job, which was still being in sales, right? So every single install, I had a guy that had an addition put on that he spent $150,000, $200,000 on. This was like a $10,000 job. I come back to the job. He swings the door open. He goes, "Look, I'm busy, man. I don't even know why you're here." And I said, "Well, it's for your happy check." So I hand him this book full of warranty papers and all the stuff. And I said, he's like, "I don't understand what you're doing." He's like, "I already paid you, right?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "This isn't about money. This is about, I want to come back and inspect the job and make sure it's up to my standard."
Right.
He goes, "Come here." So he pulls me back to the back of the house and he shows me this addition. He goes, "That guy I spent $200,000 with, he has not answered my phone since my last check cleared 2 years ago." He said, I already paid you. And you came back after I paid you, like made a trip out here to thank me for doing business, give me all my warranty paperwork in person.
He was floored. I
He
bet
goes, I will refer you to every person I meet the rest of my life.
It's
So
an impact.
I'm confirming what you said. So
It's a
now
huge
we
impact
have,
on your
yeah,
customers.
now we have a couple older guys that kind of just do, inspections and stuff like that, kind of the happy check, QA, whatever you want to call it. But it's important. They don't care what you know. They care about how much you care.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
And now I'm starting to do some things with this mastermind thing. I think Marilyn and I were, I think, talking to you about. I have a mastermind class 2 times a month on Monday mornings. We're moving it to Fridays because Mondays just everybody's crazy. But it's a 1-hour call, typically 9:30 to 10:30 or 9. Anyway, I'll have it all over at chuckworley.com, or you can reach me at 757-955-9415. You could call me, text me, send me any information. If anybody's out there is struggling with any of the stuff that we're talking about, I am using this mastermind to be able to help people get to the next level in business.
Right.
I'm not, it's how to, all the way down to basics and networking and meeting people. And I'm a power connector, and
I see that.
it's a job. I am the 757 power connector. That's one of my new titles.
That's awesome.
I connect people. I connect people.
No, I love it. I
And
love your
hey,
energy. Love your energy. And I don't mean to cut you off, but we're going to start wrapping up here because it's going on about 45 minutes. And so I'm going to ask you just a few more questions. And then
Okay.
you and I are going to talk definitely at some point after this
Awesome.
podcast because you have just so much information to give. But I guess if you had maybe one book or podcast that you listen to the most that has inspired you and you want to just share with other business owners or younger, what would you suggest they read or listen to?
So I always, one of the biggest books that impacted me was EOS, Gino Wickman. It's a book, basically how to build your business. It doesn't matter what kind of business it is, but EOS, the book is called Traction or Get a Grip. If you're a detailed number guy like my son, you want to get the book Traction, that same book is written, Get a Grip, and it's written by the same guy, same book. It's just written with more stories because I'm a story guy. Like I hear things differently than my son. My son's like, just the facts, ma'am. So he's more Joe Friday. Anybody that's old knows that reference to that movie. Anyway, EOS system is a great system for getting people started. Jason Williams is down here in the 757. It was great. If you wanted to look him up, he could help anybody get started in business.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to make sure I make my way down to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. I'm not that far. And I know I'm going to take a summer trip over the summer. So you and I, we're going to have a cold beer and, maybe I'm going to come to this Wednesday night talk show of yours. Who knows? What would it be like to have a woman on that talk show for once instead of all you men? Yeah, I'm going to come crash your party.
I always try and get my wife in on it, but she's so shy. She doesn't come in.
No, I would love to be a part of it. And I'm going to make sure that, like I said, I have to wrap it up now. And I really, Chuck, thank you for sharing. Anybody that's listening out there, if you're ready to grow and elevate your brand, book a discovery call with me at Bold Vision SEO. We'll get you on track to branding yourself, bringing awareness, getting visibility in the Google Maps, building your website, just getting you out on social media and listen to the people like myself and like Chuck here. We know what's working. We know how to network with people. And, if you need a mentor, you just want to learn more. My circle is probably a lot smaller than Chuck's, but there's so many people out there willing to help, any small business that needs help. So again, Chuck, I just want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you being on the Bold Vision podcast. And thank you so much, guys. And that's a wrap.